In this demonstration, we're going to be looking at the CFD mesh generation capability at ANSYS Workbench version 12.1. If we remove this front surface, you can see that the model is one section of an aircraft cabin. You can see the passengers on the seats. And you can also see the detailed design of the air console. And the air console will be above each individual seat row. Our aim is to make a very high quality mesh suitable for CFD simulation. So initially we'll set the physics preference to CFD. This will make all of the defaults suitable for fluid flow simulation. And we're going to specify some minimum and maximum sizes. These minimum and maximum sizes will be used to generate a mesh based off surface curvature. You can see the minimum and maximum sizes defined by the pinball on the screen. So this will give us a high mesh resolution in curved areas and a coarser mesh resolution in the flatter areas. We're also going to generate an inflation layer to adequately capture the boundary layer near the wall. So to do this, we'll simply select all the surfaces in the model and then unselect the symmetry planes and the front and back faces. So at version 12.1, the inflation tool is very powerful, being able to inflate off highly complex geometry with very little user input. And in this case, we'll specify that we'd like to generate 3 layers of inflation. So the setup is now complete. We're ready to generate the mesh. So if we recap whilst the mesh is being generated, we've set the physics preference to CFD, we've specified minimum and maximum cell sizes, and we've specified the areas that we want to inflate. So very high level commands to generate a mesh in a highly automated manner with very little user input. So this is one of the great benefits of the new meshing at 12.1, truly highly automatic mesh generation. So you can see the mesh on the external part of the model, very small cell sizes in the curved areas, gradually growing into larger cell sizes in the flatter areas. To get a really good understanding of the model now, we'll take a cut plane, and you can see the volume mesh that's been generated. If we zoom in near to one of the passengers' heads, you can see the 3 layers of inflation. In this case, they're 3 layers of prismatic cells that then transform into tetrahedrals and grow very smoothly into the volume. So a mesh that's really suitable for CFD simulation. Next, we'll look at the surface mesh in a little bit more detail. Again, we can use the cut plane tools at a surface mesh level, so we can step through the mesh cell by cell to get a feeling for the cell growth. So you can see the small sizes again in the areas of detail, and as we step through the mesh you can see larger cells in areas with less curvature. And again, zooming in into the face of the passenger, we can really see the mesh resolution that has been defined. So small sizes near the areas of high curvature. Next, we'll look at the inflation layer in a little bit more detail. Initially, this looks very similar to the surface mesh, but we're now 3 cells away from the underlying CAD surface. So this is really just showing you the outer cap of the inflation layer, and you can see how the tools can capture very complicated geometry with very little user input. Again, if we move the section plane towards the back of the model, we can then look in a little bit more detail at the inflation layer as it's sliced through the bodies of the passengers. So you can see how you can generate very high quality meshes in ANSYS 12.1 with very little user input.